Okay, we're back and we're ready to try these next two problems. Let's start with the first one. These next two are kind of difficult. This first one is probably much more difficult than the second one, and it is the square root of x plus 1 equals the square root of x plus 7. And what's happening here, the reason it's so much more difficult is because it has a square root on well, it has two square roots, okay? And when you have to solve this, you have to square it 2 times. You're going to square it first, and you're going to have to FOIL it, so you get the square root of x squared plus 2 times the square root of x times 1 plus 1 squared is going to equal, well, x plus 7. So on this side, the square root goes away. If you leave the square, and on this side, because you have a plus 1, you have to FOIL it, and it gives you a middle term with the square root. So when you square this, you get x plus 2 square roots of x plus 1 equals x plus 7. Just simplifying it, I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I'm trying to isolate this square root so I can square it again to get rid to eliminate the square root in the answer. So that goes away, that goes away. Fortunately here, this x goes away, and we get 2 square roots of x equals 7 minus 1 is 6. And then we're going to divide by 2, and we get the square root of x is equal to 3. And now we can square both sides again, and we get x equals 9. And then what we're supposed to do is check to see if this is going to give us an extraneous solution. So as much as we may have solved it for this, and this is our answer, it may still provide us an invalid solution. So we go back to the original problem and check it. And we're going to do the square root of 9 plus 1 equals the square root of 9 plus 7. The square root of 9 is 3 plus 1 equals the square root of 16. 4 equals 4. This is valid. So this x equaling 9 is just fine for us. We're happy with it. So now let's try one more problem. And this will be the last one that we do in this video series for radical expressions. Until we do the, there's going to be one more after this, I should say, because it's going to cover the use of the calculator and how it's going to help you to solve a lot of these problems. Okay? So here's the last one that does not involve the calculator. And it's the square root of x minus 10 equals the square root of 3x. And here you can see you have radicals on both sides, so you're going to square both sides. And that gives you x squared minus 10 equals 3x. So this is kind of cool, right? Because the square roots go away the first time. But you have to, because this is a quadratic, we have to move the 3x over. And that's going to give us x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. We're now going to factor this side, and we get x minus 5 and x plus 2 equals 0. So our solutions are positive 5 and negative 2. And we're going to take these two answers and plug them back in up here to see if they're good. So we're going to do our check for x equals positive 5 and x equals negative 2. If we put the positive 5 in, we get the square root of 5 squared minus 10 has to equal the square root of 3 times 5. So we get the square root of 25 minus 10 equals the square root of 15. The square root of 15 equals the square root of 15. This is completely legitimate. This is a valid answer, right? Because you can take the square root of a positive 15, and that's going to equal the square root of a positive 15. Now let's try the negative 2. If we put in the negative 2, we get the square root of negative 2 squared minus 10 equals the square root of 3 times negative 2. So we get 4 minus 10 is the square root of negative 6, and 3 times negative 2 is the square root of negative 6. That looks just fine, right? Because the left side perfectly equals the right side. But the problem is that the square root of negative 6 is undefined. That is an invalid answer because the negative 6 doesn't exist. The square root of negative 6 doesn't exist. So this is extraneous because even though they're equal, because the answer is invalid, that it's equal, but because it's invalid, it's still extraneous. So you want to make sure that you understand that even though they're equal, they're not always going to still be an answer, because it could be an invalid answer. Okay, so that's it, and we'll make one more video for the calculator, and we'll be good to go. Have a good day.